Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I have a fresh new lesson for you to create a brand new drawing which is called the W. So we're going to take a look. First, I've landed on the course homepage and I need to click into content and find the appropriate modules. So as you can see, TIJ1O1, Exploring Tech. I'm going to be clicking into content and scrolling down to AutoCAD PDF files for iPad. And the next drawing is listed here called W. Click. This is going to open it up. This is something that you do on your iPad, of course. And I need to orient this in the correct orientation. And I'm going to click these arrows and hit rotate clockwise. And here we go. Now this still might be a bit difficult to see on my video, so I've actually gone ahead and downloaded it already, and it is here. So let's take a look at this one. This one is going to be a lot more clear to look at. Now this drawing here is going to introduce us to a brand new command called mirror, which is going to be very helpful to us, which has to do with creating geometry that is symmetrical. So we only really need to draw half of the W today, and it all makes sense by the end of the video. There are some line lengths here that are not given to us, right? We don't know the length of this line at the top left-hand corner of the W, and we don't know the length of this angular line or this one. So we really need to ignore the lines right now that we don't know the values for. We only can focus on the values that we know. And the most important ones are the total length of the W, the total height of the W, the thickness of the lettering is also very important, and the length of this angular line from the very top left-hand corner to the bottom of this flat base. And of course, the angle of the lines is also very important, the 45 degrees here. And these other values. So we have to just basically study the drawing, look at what we have to work with, and work with that, and the rest should work itself out automatically by the end of the drawing exercise. So having said that, I'm going to demonstrate this for you. I'm going to click into AutoCAD. I already have it open, but I also need to download the appropriate border for this drawing. Now I can't use the shape border because the origin needs to be in a different location for this drawing to center itself. So if I click back into the hub and I hit the back arrow, scroll down to AutoCAD Single View Drawings Files for Download, which is a submodule here, I can click on the WDWG file and download it. So here it is, downloading. This is for your computer, as you know. All of the drawing must occur on a computer, whether you have a PC or a Mac computer. That's where the magic happens. So I'm going to try clicking this open, and it says this drawing was not created with an Autodesk Student version of the product. We're just going to hit open, and here is the fresh border with the origin in a different location. Some students, again, will make the mistake of just using the same downloaded border, but that will not be correct because the drawing will not fit perfectly centered in terms of height and width in this border. So as I told you before, as soon as you open a downloaded border, the first thing you should do is save it. So we're going to go to File, Save As, and I'm going to be taking this out of downloads. I'm going to be putting this in a different location. So I have a folder called Semester 2, my AutoCAD drawings. I've already downloaded this before, so I'm going to take the 1 out of it. Now you won't have the 1. I've already downloaded this before, so that's why I have a duplicate. So I'm going to hit save. Alright, so now my drawing is being saved in the appropriate location I want to store it, and I'm able to get ready. Now, this is going to be a little bit of a review of some items we've learned from our first drawing, and we're also going to be adding some new things today. I'm going to be starting with the line command and zooming in with my wheel and finding the endpoint snap to begin. As stated previously in the last video, we're always starting our origin where these two lines intersect at the bottom left-hand corner. Once I see endpoint snap, I'll left-click my mouse and attach it. I want to make sure my lines are perfectly straight. So I'm going to be coming down to the status bar at the bottom and turning on ortho mode, which is going to force the line to only go horizontally or vertically perfectly. Now, the origin for this drawing actually is sitting here, where my cursor is. That's where the origin is, not where the tip, the top left-hand corner of the W is, or not here. So I'm going to be drawing two lines to start that are 60 millimeters in height and width. So I'm going to pull my mouse up. I'm going to key in 60 millimeters and then hit enter. Okay, at this point, I don't want to continue drawing. I'm actually going to end the command. So what I can do to end the command is I can hit enter on my keyboard, or I can hit escape. So now there's two ways for you to exit a command. If I want to repeat the command and not have to go up here and grab line again, AutoCAD will remember the previous command used. So I can just right click my mouse and then left click repeat line, and I'm back in the line command. I can come down here, back to the origin, find the endpoint again, and click, or not click, but pull my mouse in the horizontal direction and key in 60 again and hit enter. And what I can do now is actually create the start of the W. Now, even though I have ortho on, I can still do this. I'm going to come up here to this endpoint and left click. And that's going to make a triangle. It's a right angle triangle. I'm going to exit the command by hitting enter. So this line right here is the start of the W. Now, how was I able to draw a line on an angle if I had ortho mode on? Because ortho mode only allows you to draw lines perfectly vertically and horizontally. Well, the reason is when I clicked the endpoint snap up here, and a snap will override ortho. So that's how I was able to draw that line. I started a line here at the origin. I'd come over horizontally, and I was ready to travel vertically. But clicking back to this endpoint will just make the line the perfect length and snap it to the top of this endpoint of the original line I drew. So that's how that works. So we have this line done now. The lines I've drawn here and here, I'm going to keep the vertical one for now, but I'm going to get rid of the horizontal one because the horizontal one isn't going to do us any good. So I can pick this line and a grip will appear. And there's a couple of ways to erase lines from your drawing. You can hit the delete key, or you can come up to modify and hit the erase. So I'll do that. I'll hit the erase, and it'll just drop that line from the drawing. Now there's a reason I don't want to get rid of this line just yet, because I want to find the center of the W. It was established earlier when I took a look at the image that the length of the W is 220 millimeters long. Right here. So I want to find half of that length. So what is 220 divided by 2? Very simple math question. It would be 110. So I'm going to use the offset tool, which is a tool you've seen before as well. Pick offset. Remember, I just can't go picking a line and trying to offset it. AutoCAD is asking me a question in the command line. It says specify offset distance. So we've just established 110 is half of 220. So we're going to type 110 and we're going to hit enter. That's going to turn my mouse into a little white square. Now I'm ready to actually perform the offset. So I'm going to select this vertical line and click into the direction I want to go, which is to the right. I can go to the left or to the right. Obviously, I want to go to the right. It doesn't matter where I click to the right. It's only going to offset that line 110, as you can see in the preview. Left click. And to escape the offset command, again, I can hit enter. And I'm out. Remember, when you're not in an active command, you'll see type a command dimly written in the command line at the bottom. Okay, so now that I've done this, I don't require this line any longer. So I can select it and I can erase it. All right, so some information that we have. We know the length of this line, which is 20. We do not know the length of this line, but we have a way to figure that out. So let's go back. We're going to grab the line tool again from Draw Toolbar, snap this endpoint, and we're going to draw a line 20 millimeters, exactly like the W says. Now we need to come up on an angle. Of course, ortho is on. I can't draw a line on an angle, so I need to switch into a different type of drawing style. So right next to ortho, to the right of it, there is a button here called polar mode. And polar allows us to draw lines on specific angles. So if I click polar on, it illuminates blue. But did you notice that ortho turned off? And that makes sense, because if ortho is all about drawing perfectly horizontal and vertical lines, and polar mode is all about drawing lines on angles, then there's no way that these two buttons can be on at the exact same time. Right? What happens when an immovable object meets an unstoppable force? Nobody knows. Right? If I click ortho on, it turns polar off. So that's something that you have to know that's extremely important. So polar's on, and I can draw lines on angles. Of course, we want to make sure that your polar angle is set to 45 degrees, as stated on the W drawing. The way to check for that would be to right-click polar mode and make sure that this check mark is sitting on 45, which mine is already. So I'm just going to click that again. And you're going to notice that when I move my mouse around the screen, it wants to naturally find angular increments of 45 degrees, right? 0, there's a little green broken beam. If I come up to 45 degrees, I see it again. If I come up to 90 degrees, I see it straight up. If I go this way, at 135 degrees, I see it again. So with polar mode on and the angle set to 45 degrees, AutoCAD will find those angles for me. So that's where I want to click. I want to click on this intersection here when I see 45 degrees under that midpoint label. Click. All right. To exit the command, you can hit enter, and that will bring me out of it. So we're getting there, right? We've got this line, and this line. Now, I don't know what the length of this line is, but I know that the top of the W here is in line with that horizontal line. So what I'm going to do next is go back into the line tool. So right click, left click, repeat line, endpoint snap from here and come all the way over to this endpoint, right? I don't need to actually input a value because I'm just snapping two endpoints. Then hit enter to escape. Okay, next up is the thickness of the lettering, 30 millimeters. So I'm going to be using an offset for this. I'm going to select offset. I have to type in my value, 30, as my distance, hit enter, click this line, and offset it the direction I want to go, which is this way, and then pick this line and offset it up as well. And then enter to end the command. So we're getting somewhere here, as you can see. Now, this line here needs to extend up to this horizontal line. Right now it's sitting somewhere about here. So what we can do is select that line using a grip with polar still on and set to 45 degrees. We can just pull on it. It's going to want to maintain that angle. When I pull on it, you can see that green beam show up. I just want to pull it up to that intersection, snap, and then left click, and I have it. And then deselect this line. You can hit the escape command easily enough to deselect a grip anytime you need to. All right, so what is left? We have to trim this up. This is going to be a brand new command now that we haven't seen, called trim. It is also found in the modify tools. It's up here. It looks like a pair of scissors. So this is how trim works. We're going to select it. It says select objects. Okay, so I'm going to start selecting my objects. I'm going to be selecting this line, and this line. All right, so these lines right here. After I've selected them, I need to hit enter key. This is going to activate the trim command. So at this point, I'm just going to be selecting lines that I no longer need for my drawing, which is this line. So I'll pick it. It'll trim. This line, and this line, and this line will trim. To end the command, hit enter, and you're out. This line here cannot be trimmed because it's not overlapping any existing geometry. So this line here can just be erased. So select it with a grip, come up and hit the erase tool at modify. And that's half the W drawn perfectly. Now, we need the other half. Are we going to go through the exercise of doing that all over again in reverse on this side? Of course not. So what we're going to do is grab the mirror tool here in Modify, creates a mirrored copy of selected objects. So select mirror, and then AutoCAD asks in this message and below in the command line, select the objects. So I could select the objects one by one, or I could just draw a box around it from top right to bottom left. And as long as I'm reaching everything, everything will select all at one time. So everything is kind of highlighted in blue now. To execute the actual mirror, after you've selected the objects, hit your Enter key, and then AutoCAD will ask a question. It'll say specify first point of mirror line. So it needs you to select somewhere in the center. So you can pick this endpoint or this endpoint. It doesn't really matter. I'll select this one, and then you can see the W start to mirror in a preview. Now, I don't want it spinning all around like this. I don't want to mirror it incorrectly by accident. So how am I going to mirror this perfectly? I'm going to go back down to the status bar, and I'm going to click Ortho on again. And now look what happens. It's only going to allow me to mirror it one of two ways, this way or this way. So obviously I want it to appear like this. So once I see the preview I like, I can click anywhere on the screen, and it says erase source objects, yes or no. So think about that question for a second. Do I want to erase the source object or keep it? I'm going to say no, because I need the source, right? I need what I drew on the left. So I'm going to say N. I'm going to type N for no and hit Enter. And there is the W completely drawn. Pretty slick to use your mirror command. Now, mirror can't be used all the time. Sometimes it's counterproductive in certain cases, but it can be a real time saver if you have to work on some features on a drawing that require a lot of symmetry. So basically with this drawing, we basically just cut our workload in half with a couple of clicks of a button. So that is the power of AutoCAD. As we keep going, we're going to be revealing more power from the program and how it really helps us to draft and design objects. So the next lesson we'll look at the dimensioning of the W. But until that time, I'd like you to take some time today and try drawing the W for yourself at your own computer, and let's see how you do. Take care for now, and have a great day.